What do you have at number two?
My number two is I feel that this is an epic in every sense of the word. I love this film. It is a disaster movie as well as a romance. And
Oh,
I,
are you going with what I think you're going with?
yeah,
Because if you
possibly.
are, I think we're crossing over once again.
I'm going with
Hell
Titanic.
yeah, we're going with Titanic here.
Yeah. I My favorite film of all time is Aliens, which is a James
Oh,
Cameron film.
I didn't know that.
And
That's your favorite movie.
yes,
That's amazing.
I love it. And listen, Alien is amazing too,
Mhm.
but Aliens is my favorite. And I love Terminator and Terminator 2 as well. Titanic is incredible. And James Cameron knows how to film a film and knows how to pace them and knows how to do action and knows how to do a disaster film. And I love that you have the first half
Mhm.
where you have Rose and Jack and they're getting to know each other and she's trying to escape the bonds of conformity of her, upper class life and her overbearing mother and her sexist fiance. And then it switches and then you have just straight disaster movie. But through it all, you have their love, their connection. And if you want to pick it apart, you can be like, well, they probably wouldn't have lasted anyway, or did they really love each other? I don't care. I don't care. They loved each other at that time, at that moment. And that is what carried them through this disaster. And I think that's incredible. And I think Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio have incredible chemistry.
Mhm.
I just adore this film so much, from the details of the sets and all of the incredible scope of what was going on with
Mhm.
recreating the sinking Titanic,
Yeah.
to the lavish costumes, to Celine Dion's music. I love it all of it.
I mean, if you can buy Romeo and Juliet falling in love, why can't you buy this? Because this is basically Romeo and Juliet on a boat. That is essentially what this is. The way it depicts the hierarchy of class and wealth.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I mean, Rose and Jack represent different ends of that spectrum,
Hmm.
and that's what brings them together. And I love what you have to say about the chemistry between Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio. It's so good it would make real life couples jealous. But
Yes.
what I also love about their dynamic, and this is something I don't think we talk about nearly as much, they're really funny together on screen.
Yes.
And I really appreciate romance films that also shine a light on how great chemistry is not just in their love and affection for each other, it's their
Hmm.
sense of humor that they're able to match wits with. And
Absolutely.
and Jack and Rose, like they kind of toy with each other a little bit. There's a bickery nature to it that's also kind of sweet, and it's hard to
Hmm.
find that tender quality in that bickeriness, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And I think they nail that really well. I had no idea that Aliens was your favorite movie. That is awesome.
Thank
so
you.
it's
It's
so it's not.
incredible.
Is this your second favorite Cameron film, Titanic specifically? Then do you know that
No,
offhand? Okay,
no. Well, no. I was gonna say it
okay,
probably Terminator 2,
okay.
but it might be Titanic. Again, depends on the day. Sometimes it's Terminator 2, sometimes it's Titanic. But I love them both. And I'm kind of obsessed with Titanic history too. Like I've
Oh,
been to the
sure.
Titanic exhibit. The traveling exhibit, and I love reading about it, and I love disaster films. So this is ticking all those boxes. Thinking about what you said about Romeo and Juliet, it's funny because I often don't think of Romeo and Juliet as a romance. I think
Okay.
of it as a critique of it, which is so fascinating.
Oh, that's
But
a fair point.
yeah, but no, but you're right. It is a romance because you can also look at it at the sense of, you know, teenagers, because they are so young, like
Hmm.
teenagers and first love, first infatuation. And it's funny because there are those parallels here, but you're absolutely right that there is something really beautiful, not just about the attraction and the tenderness between Rose and Jack, but there is that playfulness and the
Yeah.
banter and the joy. And I love that he brings out the best in her and she brings out the best in him. And there's something really lovely about that and
Mhm.
incredible as they're
Yeah, so
thrown into this life and death circumstance.
it becomes kind of a coming of age film in some ways. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I could talk
Absolutely.
about this movie all day. There's not much to say about
Ooh.
Titanic that hasn't already been said, but I still love talking about it because it's funny because it's a movie that many I say this as something that I can relate to because I was 7 or 8 years old when Titanic first came out. So, of course, as a young boy, I scoffed at the idea of a movie like this being popular. And now I look back and it's like, man, I wish movies were still like this. Like, I miss when
Yes.
movies were like this because this movie kind of helped redefine the epic romance for the modern era.
Yes, it
Like,
did.
this movie is the reason why we get something like Pride and Prejudice, for
Mhm.
instance, or like I talked about with Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. The romanticism of that film owes a lot to Titanic. It absolutely does. Say what you will about James Cameron, but the guy knows how to capture feeling. He does that
Absolutely.
so well here. The reason why I brought up this as maybe being your second favorite Cameron film is because I wanted to see if we share the same brain once again. Because yeah,
We might.
Aliens and Titanic are my top 2 from him. And I yeah,
Love
and
it.
I'm an Alien guy versus Aliens, but I still think Aliens is a masterpiece in its own way.
Yep. I
Um,
That's how
yeah,
I feel about Alien. Like, of course, it is incredible, laid the blueprint, but yeah,
mhm,
yeah, I
yeah,
feel
well,
very
I
similarly.
the Alien franchise is probably my favorite sci-fi franchise, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
only one Alien film I don't like. It's,
Okay.
uh, it's Romulus.
Oh, that
Yeah.
is not the one I thought you were gonna say.
Well, okay, the other one is
Interesting.
maybe Prometheus because I respect it though, but I don't love it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, but I don't like Romulus. Could
I can see that. With Prometheus, I it was like, if you know anything about me, this isn't gonna be a surprise. I
Uh-huh.
love the abortion scene that it is it is unhinged, and I am so here for it, and I love it. Romulus, I did like, but I can understand not liking it because it just feels like it is riding the coattails of Aliens
Which is
way
what
too
this
hard.
franchise was never about, right? Each
Right.
kind of deconstructed what came before it. It was it yeah,
Yes.
and I don't know, maybe it's a movie that's having a conversation with the franchise, and maybe in, like, 10 years, we'll reevaluate it. I don't know, but that could be giving it too much credit.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, but I don't know if that works. But yeah, it
I love how our pick of Titanic here veered into a conversation on the Alien franchise.
I know. I know. But I do have to say, bringing it back to Titanic for a moment,
Okay,
because
okay.
I also love A Night to Remember, which is one of my favorite films.
Oh, yeah.
So good. I also like the Barbara Stanwyck Titanic movie. But something that I love that A Night to Remember does that this also does is have the musicians as they're playing and they're going to stop, but then they keep playing even though they know
Mhm.
they're not going to get in the lifeboats. And oh, it makes me so emotional. It makes me like I'm going to cry just thinking about it.
Both of these movies have a reverence for Titanic history and a respect
Yes.
for it, and I
Yes.
really love that about the film, and James Cameron does a great job with that. I don't wanna get too far off topic, but I just love talking about Titanic, and something I've referenced so much on this podcast, many times, and I cite this specific example all the time from Titanic. It has one of my favorite uses of computers ever in a movie.
Oh.
And that's the scene right before Rose goes into her, old Rose specifically goes into her story of her life on the Titanic and what she experienced meeting Jack. I forget the character's name, but the really big bearded guy
Oh, yes, yes.
gives her a visual demonstration of what happened to the Titanic and how it sank.
Yes.
That gives the audience a clear blueprint as to what's going to happen. So when it does happen, you're set up for it. It
Mhm.
is an amazing use of storytelling. And we often knock James Cameron for being a bit of a weird writer sometimes, to say the least. But he knows how to do visual cues to tell a story. And
Yes.
that's an example of great script writing, if you ask me.
Mhm. I completely agree with you. I think something along those lines, I think something else he does incredible. He is excellent at introducing characters.
Yeah.
Within a few minutes, you know everything you need to know about a character that is introduced in one of his films. And I love that
Yeah.
because you need to be able to get those beats right away when you
Yeah.
have a character. And of course, it can characters arc can change, it can deepen, but I love that you get everything you need. Also, that's a great point bringing that up about how you're seeing it and the foreshadowing of it, because
Mhm.
I feel like it is still shocking when
Yeah.
you see it. When you even if you know what you're going in for, seeing it on the computer screen and then seeing it again the way that Rose and Jack and all the other people are
Yeah, it
experiencing
like
is horrifying.
knowing it weirdly makes it more horrifying. It's like, "Oh,
Yes.
this is when it breaks apart." Oh, I like,
Exactly,
it
exactly.
it w I think I referenced this during our review of this movie last year, but it weirdly reminded of you've seen Sentimental Value, right? The Joachim Trier
Yes,
film? Yeah,
yes,
the scene where Stellan Skarsgård's character is talking about the one-take scene that he wants to shoot for his movie, which completely
yes.
sets up this idea that, "Oh, somewhere in this movie, we're going to get a one-take scene." So that
Mhm,
way you're prepared for how it's gonna be telegraphed, and then it allows you to look for the one moment of how it's going to be different when we get to the end of the movie. It's
mhm.
kind of doing the same thing as that computer scene from Titanic.
Absolutely, that's such a great parallel, great comparison. I have to say that sentimental value, even though I knew it was coming, it
Mhm.
still floored me.
Yeah.
It still completely rocked my world, and I was devastated, and I feel very similarly about this, like, I know what's happening, I know what's gonna happen, because I knew even before I started watching this Titanic, this
Mhm.
version of the story, but it still is devastating. And the amount of research, the attention to detail, and the fact that that was pretty new information that it broke
Mhm.
apart at that time, that they didn't know it broke apart like that for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's incredible.
Anyway, Titanic rocks. Great movie.
It does. I know. I was so I don't wanna say worried, but I was so like, "Oh," because I know some people have very strong feelings positively, but also negatively, so I'm very excited. You are on the Titanic train as well.
I don't trust people who hate this movie. I'll simply say that.
I love it. I love it.
All right, enough Titanic love. Let's get to our number 1 favorite epic romantic films.